So, Twin Flames Cult. So, if you have not watched this movie, or sorry, documentary, it's on Netflix, and I would go recommend watching it. I guess unless you're heavily triggered by cult like things. For me, like watching it helps me put things into context and stuff that I submitted myself to or became a part of and why I did. And a large part of the time for people that have been involved in cults, I know I sound like I have it all together, but you have to remember I've done a lot of unpacking and I've done a lot of healing. And I'm still super confused by a lot of different components and stuff comes up every day for me. But in this series, this documentary series, I think there's three. It's been a little bit since I've watched it. But it made me think of something the other day. Um, for people that have been in cults, like we have been completely desensitized. We've been completely desensitized. So somebody watching from the outside is like, oh, you know, you really thought you could raise somebody from the dead by praying? The answer would be yes. You could raise somebody from the dead by praying. And because there is a belief system within Christian cultures, and I am talking not talking about just Christian nationalists. I'm not just talking about cults. This is a system within Christianity. This is very systemic. And this piece in particular, not all churches believe this, but the charismatic and the evangelical believe that you can actually bring people back to life. And if you pray over them, then they will come back to life. And if they don't right then you pray again and you pray again. You pray unceasing until the event actually takes place. Um, and so this is something actually that I was taught and I learned at Bethel in Redding, California, which I will talk more about Bethel in Redding, California. There's a lot coming out about it right now. There's a lot of exposure taking place. I know I'm going to receive a lot of hatred when I start talking about it. So I think part of me is like, I don't know how much I can take. But going back to the whole twin flames thing, like this series is pretty crazy, and it's yet another thing that desensitizes your brain to being able to reason and understand logic, and you start to quote unquote believe the unbelievable. And it seems really silly for somebody who's not indoctrinated or not involved in cults. But for those of us that are in it and have been desensitized our entire life, you don't trust yourself. You don't trust your gut. And I'm a really vocal person. I've always been really vocal. So it's super interesting that I can be as vocal as I am and have been, but yet still get heavily immersed in that. And mine has been from trauma. Like my trauma from growing up, like I was in so much pain. And so when you're in so much pain, you're looking for something to fix and to heal you. And when somebody says that to you and you've already been desensitized by that group before, when they're like, we've experienced or encountered this new thing, you're like, oh, really? Oh, God. Okay. Because I don't want to go through this again. I don't want to go through this pain again. I don't want to feel this being left and humiliated by my ex husband. And those are three stories I need to tell. Like going through that and believing that you are of no value and no worth as a female because you are now going through a divorce and it's your fault. So therefore, you're like, you are searching for anything to help fix and fill this obviously this horrible brokenness that you are as not only a human being but as a female who has no place in this world nor church or society or anything. We have no voice. We're just here to be baby makers, to get married and be baby makers. Are you kidding me? Like going to college, I went to a private Christian college. Like that was our entire thing, was you go to get your MRS degree. And so anyway, twin flames, one of the things that happened in there was this girl. She specifically talked about how they encouraged her, like she like to be with this guy, and she really wasn't even that into him. And then she ended up like getting with him, but like he started to reject her. And I'm sorry, it's been a little bit since I've watched this, but like it turns into where she is almost stalking him because the leadership is encouraging her to go and to pursue him because that is who she's supposed to be with. And that's exactly what happened to me in my second marriage. That is exactly what happened to me. Now, my trauma from my first marriage with infidelity, trauma from my second marriage with infidelity, but it got worse with the second one because I'm thinking, this has happened to me 2 times. There's absolutely something wrong with me. There's something that I'm doing that's not correct, that have major issues, right? So you do anything to try to figure out how to not repeat this pattern. And so that's what was happening to me. And it almost turned into that. I mean, I was behind the scenes, like, in a sense, like stalking my ex husband, my second one, because I thought that God was going to restore my marriage. I thought he was going to come in, swoop in, and fix what had been broken. My ex husband had chosen. He chose to have an affair. He chose to gallivant off with this girl, which, y'all, long term, it didn't end up working out. But he ended up marrying one of our friends in our group, a girl who was single and hung around with all these couples. Like, it's super weird. Anyway, like, they got married and God, I don't even remember now. But I was still at that point in time, like, with the maybe 2018, like, I was still hoping and holding on because that's what I had been told, that God was going to fix my marriage, that God was going to bring him back, and that God was going to get the glory, and we were going to have this great ministry. I cannot tell you how many prophetic words that I had. It made me look like a kook to try to keep this together. Like, I had journals. I went to conferences to confirm, like, words of knowledge. If you know what in words of knowledge, it's like somebody gets a word for you, like, hey, this person, is so good at playing the guitar and they don't know you. Like, that's a word of knowledge. And they come up to you and they're like, hey, I just want to tell you, like, I heard in the spirit that, you play the guitar and you're so wonderful. You're going to do amazing things. And it just becomes this huge like, massive, like, explanation of how wonderful you're going to be, and you're going to be big and you're going to be huge. It's kind of the prosperity gospel all mixed in there too. And so that God gave you this gift. And so it's like, that's the word of knowledge that I'm talking about. And it was like, I was encouraged to continue to pursue my marriage, even though I was divorced. I mean, it took a year and a half and not what I wanted. And yeah, I mean, it was so traumatic. It was so traumatic. And I stood for that marriage for a very long time. And more on that, and there were embarrassing things that happened that are going to be hard for me probably to unpack and talk about. But anyway, so this is part of the story, but my whole thing was to talk about twin flames, and to say to go and watch it, like, if you want to understand, like, how people can get immersed into cult culture. And that is a good way to start. I will also talk about more about the Duggars, Shiny Happy People, Hillsong. Like, these were all pieces that people were sucked into cult like churches and cult. These were cults, you guys. These were cults. It doesn't matter whether you're Presbyterian, Baptist, Catholic, it doesn't matter. It all can branch into a cult. I'm not saying all of them. And again, I have really great people that are still in my life that are Christians that are not involved in cult. So I want to be careful when I say that. It's not just throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's not what I'm saying. But it's time to bring light to the trauma that is taking place from purity culture growing up, and so many pieces. Watch Twin Flames. You have to let me know. Put comments. I want to know what your thoughts are. Okay, bye.